We continue now at the top of Daf Memvav Amid Beis Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 46b. Rabbi here is explaining his position and the opinion of Rav Chisda, why they make a distinction between Tumah and Shabbos. Rabbi explains for his position, he says, Sofo kitchilaso, the end of the carbon tamid, is the same as the beginning of the carbon tamid, and therefore the logic is as follows. Tumah, when it comes to Tumah, Titchilaso bar mincha tumah, because the beginning of a carbon tamid, you can bring it betumah. When you bring a carbon tamid, if there's no choice but to use a kohen who's tameh, it's not a problem, as Rashi says. Tumah detchilaso matchilaso bar minchi tumahu. Just like when you bring the carbon tamid in the first place, it pushes off tumah. It main kohen tar lizrok dam. If you don't have a kohen who's pure to do the zrika, so sofonami dachi. The same is true by the end of the carbon tamid. The end part of the carbon tamid is also going to be doche tumah because sofo ketchilaso. Whereas Shabbos, when it comes to Shabbos, detchilaso lav bar mincha Shabbosu. The beginning of the carbon tamid, Rashi will explain this, is not doche Shabbos. Sofonami lo dachi. So the end is also not doche. Rashi here explains. Shabbos detchilaso detamid de erev Shabbos. What Rava means to say is, when you bring the carbon tamid of Friday, obviously you can't bring it on Shabbos. It's a Friday carbon tamid. It's not a Shabbos carbon tamid. So the tamid of erev Shabbos, lav bar mincha Shabbos. Obviously the tamid of erev Shabbos is not doche Shabbos. Sharei bein harbayim nishchad, because it's shechted in bein harbayim. It's shechted in the afternoon. V'dam nifsal b'shkias hachama, and the blood is already possible by shkias hachama. So once that's true, that this particular carbon tamid of Friday has to be Friday, can't be Shabbos. So to the end of that carbon tamid, again, let's say you have the end parts, the end avoda of that carbon tamid. There was a machlokas on the previous amud exactly what the end of the carbon tamid means. Does it mean the hektar chalavim ve'imurim, or does it mean if you have evarim shani tosher? But whatever the case, that is also not going to be docha Shabbos. Just like the tchilaso of the tamid of erev Shabbos is not docha Shabbos, so to the sofo is not docha. That's how Rabbah explains his distinction. Rav Chisda lo kasha, and according to Rav Chisda, it's also not a kasha. He makes the distinction in the opposite direction. Sofo kitchilaso lesle. Firstly, Rav Chisda does not hold of the concept of sofo kitchilaso. He has a different logic. Shabbos to hutrahi betzibor. When it comes to Shabbos, it's completely permitted for this carbon sibor, this carbon tamid, to be brought on Shabbos. It's totally permitted. It's not even something that's b'di'evid. It's not a pushed off type of situation. It's mutter. So therefore, sofonami dachi, the end of the carbon tamid as well is going to be docha Shabbos. But tumah, when it comes to tumah, the dechuya hi betzibor. According to Rav Chisda, it's dechuya betzibor. It's pushed off, as Rashi says. Bekushi hutra, it was with difficulty that they permitted it. V'chol kama de'efshar madrina natahorin. As much as possible, we try to find people that were pure. So therefore, by tumah, which is dechuya betzibor, tchilaso deikor kapara dochi, the beginning of the carbon, which is the main part of the kapara, that is going to be docha. Sofo de lav ikor kapara, but the end part, the end avodos of the carbon tamid, which is not the main kapara, lo dochi, that's not going to be docha tumah. So therefore, the point is, both Rabbah and Rav Chisda can explain why they make a distinction between Shabbos and tumah when it comes to the end of the carbon tamid. And the Gemara continues, Itzmar, we have the following machlokas amoroim. Let's say somebody has the fire that he takes from the Mizbeach, either for the pan that he's bringing into the Kodesh Kodashim on Yom Kippur, or for the menorah, and he puts out that flame. Now there's a prohibition to put out the flame on the Mizbeach. So Abaye Amar Chayev, Abaye says you're Chayev, you put out the fire that was of the Mizbeach. And Rava Amar Potter, Rava says Potter, in this case, Rashi over here says, Chayev Mishum Lo Sichbeh, the Pasuk says, the Eish HaMizbeach is lo sichba, you shouldn't put it out. You shouldn't extinguish it. So in this particular case, there's a machlokas amoroim. And the Gemara now explains, T'chavya barosh hashal mizbeach, if you put out the fire while it's still at the top of the mizbeach, t'kulyama lo pligi d'chayev. Everybody agrees you're chayev. That's called Eish of the mizbeach, and it's a problem. It's going to be an isser. It's going to be chayev. Ki pligi d'achsei ha'arav ekavya. The whole machlokas here, Abai and Rav, is you took it off for the menorah, for the machta. You already brought it down to the ground, and then you put it out. Abai Amar Chayev Eish HaMizbeachu. Abai says Chayev because it's still called the Eish HaMizbeach. Rava Amar Potter. Rava says Potter. Kevan de Niska. Since it was taken off the Mizbeach, it's no longer Eish HaMizbeach. It's not going to be a problem. Gemara asks, Elohad Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rabba bar Avua, but what about the following statement that was made by Rav Nachman in the name of Rabba bar Avua? Hamorid gachelas me'al gavi ha-mizbeach. It says, if somebody takes a gachelas from off the mizbeach, someone takes a coal from off the mizbeach, v'kivan extinguishes it, chayev. In such a case, you're chayev. It seems to be explicitly like Abaya. Kiman Kabaya, is this statement only like Abaya? Gemara says Afilu Tema Karava. You can even say it's like Rava. Hasam lo intek lemitzvasa. In that case, you didn't take it off the mizbeach for any particular mitzvah. But hacha intika lemitzvasa. When Rava over here says pater, we're saying you're pater because you took it off. Not just that you took it physically off the mizbeach, but you took it off the mizbeach for the purpose of another mitzvah. Ika diamri, some people have a different version of what the explanation of the machlokas was. On the contrary, when you bring it down to the earth, everyone agrees pater. That's not a machlokas Abai and Rava. The whole machlokas is when you put it out at the top of the mizbeach. Abai Amar Chayev Esha Mizbeachu. Abai says Chayev because that's called Esha Mizbeach. It's Barosho Shel Mizbeach. Rav Amar Pater. Rav says Pater Kavan the Niska Niska. Since you uprooted it for the purpose of this other mitzvah, therefore you're Pater. Even though you're Barosho Shel Mizbeach, it's no longer Esha Mizbeach. Gemara asks the same question as before in the new version. Elohad Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bar Avua. But that statement which Rav Nachman made in the name of Rabba Bar Avua, Hamorid Gachelos Me'al Gavi HaMizbeach V'Kov Chayev, says if you take the Gachelos off the Mizbeach and you extinguish it, you're Chayev. We just said if you take it off the Mizbeach, everyone agrees you're Pater. Kiman Lo Kabaya V'Lo Karava. Who does this follow? It doesn't seem like Abaya, it doesn't seem like Rava. And the Gemara answers, Hasam over there, in that case, Lo Intikla Mitzvasa. You didn't take it off for any mitzvah. So even though you physically brought it down from the Mizbeach, it's irrelevant if you didn't take it for a mitzvah. You're still going to be Chayev, it's still Esha Mizbeach. Hacha Intikla Mitzvasa over here, where you take it down for a mitzvah, so then already it's no longer Esha Mizbeach, and you're going to be Pater. Hadron Aloch Taraf Bekalfi will return to you, Parak Taraf Bekalfi. That is the end of the fourth parak of Meseches Yoma. If you're enjoying these videos, if you're enjoying this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. We'll continue with the next video, the fifth parak of Meseches Yoma.